Hey there everybody, this is Professor Island, and today we're talking about critical perspectives, critical approaches, and specifically we are discussing Native American cultural response. Native American cultural response is going to be rooted in a lot of ways, as with other cultural responses, in Native American studies. And certainly when you get to your four-year university, Native American studies may be one of the options that you are offered, especially if you are in the Southwest. To that end, there is a perspective that when you're translating something from any cultural perspective, you have to identify the culture, identify its rules, identify its belief systems, and then you can translate a work. And certainly, as with any cultural perspective, very often you're looking into how that particular culture views how they're portrayed in a work, whether it was written by a Native American or was written by somebody else who's simply portraying Native Americans. But also, like many cultural responses, the cultural response might have to do with how a culture might translate a work that is not specifically about them, but actually talks about something that they might understand within the context of experience or something like that. For example, when you're looking at the Native American experience in terms of the effects of Western expansionism or the effects of treaties and misunderstanding of how a culture that was based on an oral tradition and essentially was about a certain fairly closely knit small environment is impacted by this much larger culture that has written rules and has legal aspects of it that are outside of that understanding. When it gets down to how Native Americans are portrayed in history, when it gets down to how Native Americans are portrayed in modern literature or in older literature, their response obviously is going to be one thing, but also when they see somebody else treated in a similar way, whether it has to do with imperialism or colonialism, whether it has to do with expansion, whether it has to do with an indigenous population dealing with an invader. Very often, Native American studies will look at that and say, yes, this is not about Native Americans, but we get it. We understand this perspective. We do not understand this perspective. We agree with this aspect of it. We do not agree with that aspect of it. Like many cultures that are, put in a large group like Asian studies or African American studies or Latino studies, especially Latino studies and Asian studies, in which you are really drawing from not only different countries, but also even different languages and things like that. Native American groups also had their own idealized and ideological differences, and a tribe from the Southwest and a tribe from the Northeast are going to have different language, different rules, other things like that that affect the way that they're going to translate something. As part of that, when you're doing analysis and you decide to translate something from the Native American perspective, find a continuum that allows you to focus on one particular aspect of Native American perspective, whether it's modern or not modern, whether it is from, whether it's from one particular tribe or even a segment of that particular tribe in terms of socioeconomic status, educational status, et cetera, et cetera. Obviously, you're going to see some things they're looking for, such as things like life on the reservation or the new cultural identity. Some tribes now have things like casinos and stuff like this, and other tribes don't. Some of them are deeply rooted in a tourist trade in order to basically not only further their own existence, but also to pass these things on down, where others have become very westernized in terms of creating business and really stripping away a lot of the veneer or the distance between the kind of Anglo side of things and the Native American side of things. They've mixed them together quite fully in order to create a new business that allows them to be both Native American and also American in a way. And these are important aspects of it. So, as part of your literary analysis, when you find a perspective, narrow that perspective down enough that it has a cohesion, and if you find more than one secondary source, make sure that they're on the same page. Don't find things that are so divergent that your two translations, your two cultures are arguing with each other in order to translate the work. You're looking for cohesion as you translate the work from that perspective. Keeping, of course, in the back of your mind that not all Native Americans think the same way. Not all Native Americans, even within a particular identified culture, whether it's the Dene or it's the Sioux or something like this, identify themselves in a particular way. Keep these things in mind as you gather your resources, and you'll find that you have a cohesive argument that makes a logical sense as you build your paper. Stay in touch.